everyone, welcome here. We are here in the Healing Festival with Ïara Dé Danann. She came all the way from Costa Rica, and she's a vocal and sound therapist. She does ceremonies, and she's also connecting to our ancestors. So I'm really excited to have her here. Hello.
Hi.
Maybe you can also say something about.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Nael, and I am most of the time working with the gifts of God, that is food, fruits and vegetables, gifts of the earth. I'm also a sound designer. This is why we're together here, to share some music and other workshops.
Hi everyone, my name is Ïara Dé Danann. I come from Costa Rica. I am a descendant of two distinct and broken lineages of humankind, the Bribri people of Costa Rica and the Scottish Gaelic people in the lands of Ïarou and Alba here in Europe. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be of service to the medicine of cacao and to share sound with Nael here in Healing Festival.
You have a lot of workshops here, or I feel like you did opening ceremony, right? You did also some workshops. I saw you talking about trauma, about ancestors. So can you tell us a little bit more about your work?
I started working with the anatomy of trauma about 4 years ago. And it really became a passion of me to understand the body in a way as a map of all the stories that we carry in our life and the stories of those humans that came before us. And how the body, I see now the body as actually our subconscious mind, and how we're actually receiving information from our body, and the mind is helping us translate that information, whether it be through thoughts or feeling sensations. And how now in these times, since we have set up society in such a great way that we also aren't running in the jungle trying to catch our food, and we have almost all of our needs met, some of us, we have the opportunity to dive deeper into this realm of feeling and emotion and to release some of the things that may be holding us back.
You said you started 4 years ago, approximately. How did it all start?
With my own journey. I had an ending of a relationship, and in the ending of that relationship, I realized that I was sharing the same pattern with my mother, and that we both were carrying abandonment trauma and trauma of rejection. And when I saw myself reflected in my mother's experience, I was shocked and curious at the same time. And and it was really interesting to see how stories in our life keep replicating, and how I was also in a way living my mother's life. So that sparked a flame of curiosity, and it never ended. I found my first teacher, Marianne Trauten, and she's a beautiful family constellations facilitator and trauma-informed yoga teacher. And she was one of the first women that introduced me to this work, and that introduced me to understand how we are actually a mammal and we respond the same way to different animals in our ecosystem. And we have just separated ourselves from that because we have a bigger brain and we tend to think more and create stories, and that also hinders our ability to actually live the present moment.
Nowadays, a lot of people talk about it. It's very important. Before, we didn't really talk about it that much as society. So for me, it's really exciting topic. So how do you actually work with trauma?
I work with the body, and I have learned from many teachers I can think of now a deep relationship and a friendship of mine with a beautiful man named Makana Mandate. And he was one of the first human beings that introduced me to the idea of seeing the body as a map, and how the body is almost, we have our physical body, but then we also have our energetic body. And we can start to notice how different energies almost get like in a knot in our body, and it becomes a story. And then our body starts translating that into a pain in our shoulder. Or then we have like this thing in our neck that doesn't go away. Or we have like a sciatica thing that always shows up when we are like stressed or angry. And it's almost like our body's telling us where this thing that we keep looping in our mind is. And when we just allow ourselves through breath and through sound and through movement and our own sound to give to that part of us that is asking to be seen and to be heard space to do that, is not always about like, oh, I want it to go away and like I have to release it and I have to heal that. It's almost just embracing that and embracing the fact that in like we're human and we're going to experience pain and we're going to experience grief and we're going to experience rejection, but it's how we react to that that creates a story, or how we make it about ourselves that creates a story that then gets like stored in a filing cabinet in our body for us to see later, if ever.
So actually, if there's pain in body, I have pain for a long time. What do I do? How do I know how is it related with something in my life?
Sometimes I just love to sit with it, and like in my personal practice, I love to give things personifications and give them like little characters and voices and allow them to coexist with me, because I feel that we as humans are almost like this radio station that has the ability to channel different things, channel different emotions, channel experiences that we're deeply listening even from our ancestry, and that we get the opportunity to listen so we can hear what it is that has been passed down through generations. So when we give ourselves just permission to, my shoulder hurts and I'm just gonna sit with this for 5 minutes and breathe into it and give myself my own touch and listen to what it wants to tell me.
And some things will come up from.
Yes, usually, like in my personal experience, I have noticed that like I will either have a thought or an image will come into my mind, or a memory of something that happened in my life will just like out of nowhere appear. And then you start like I start just to piece, like put all the pieces of the puzzles, and like the story that I mentioned with my mother, I was just like and you just like I caught it in that moment. I was like, there it is.
And then it's already kind of you are in a healing process when you find out, or how does it work?
I feel like healing is a never always ongoing process, and it's always like circling us deeper into a spiral. And like for myself, I can say that like I will never have the answer of when I will be healed, because I still have things that make me angry. I still have things that I cry about. I still grieve. And I feel like what I'm fine-tuning in my life is the ability to digest those emotions and to give myself grace and compassion. Yes, and embrace it and be like, yes, I'm human and I'm here for it.
And this is my family, actually, right? All the patterns, everything, that's mine. So.
And it's almost like they give you two little bags. They give you like gifts and the things in your life that you truly enjoy and you do really well in, and you enjoy doing. And then you have like those burdens and those things that you really don't like, and that like sometimes you want to hide from it, or like that you do and you feel like really ashamed of it. But at some point in your life or in the life of your ancestors, that was a pattern that allowed them to survive. And they needed that for their life to keep going and for you to be here. So it's almost like a blessing in disguise that transformed into this little gremlin now that like ate food in the middle of the night, and we need to like give care and tending to it.
That's another perspective to look at it, because usually we don't want it, we want to hide it, we want to push it away. So it's good to look at it this way with ancestors, that it was helping them.
And the more that you hide from it and you reject it, the more it will come sideways in other aspects of your life. And then you're like, I'm not angry. I'm not an angry person. And then like all of a sudden somebody does something that pisses you off and like,
Yeah, I know. Okay. And so you do ceremonies together. What do you do together? Concerts, ceremonies?
We design soundscapes for different types of procedures, I would say, or type of music. Some of them are sound baths and sound healing sessions. We just finished our training with a great teacher called Pai from Thailand, who initiated us into inner dance. That's like an inner travel in between the conscious and the unconscious by simulating the same cycles that happen in our brain right before sleeping and during the sleep. So it has like many stages, very contrasted, different sounds. Some can be very dark, mechanical, some of them can be very angelic. And this is what actually kind of happens before sleeping. Our mind can have a very high frequency of thoughts, and then out of nowhere it calms down again, and again another thought can come about the next day or what happened today, and the mind gets activated again. Few minutes later the mind's calmed down into another state. So we replicate those states that's called inner dance. We also love to share songs and do music in plant medicine ceremonies, and also that's it, right?
and cacao.
And cacao, yes, of course, yeah, of course, and combine sound and cacao. After a trip of mine in Costa Rica, I experienced a physical vibration with cacao that is quite similar to sound vibration. And combining both of them has been magical for us.
Sound and plant medicine. Do you also work with medicine yourself? Like you provide, you're a shaman as well, or no?
No. No, actually, this is me doing social justice. Shaman is a term that can only be used in one culture from humankind, and like we Westerners have imported this term and use it to describe a human being that has a deeper connection or has evolved into a deeper connection that we have with the earth. So like there are different names to name these people and to call them, but shaman will be like culturally appropriating like a term that only exists in one culture, and then we use it to name everybody.
Everything. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point. Uh-huh. But so you are a facilitator. Let's say you
Yes.
do plant medicine and also sound. So it's like a full ceremony by you. Uh-huh. What happens in those ceremonies?
What doesn't happen?
Yeah, that's maybe a better question.
I feel like it's a beautiful space for you to be in the moment and to realize that like life is a ceremony and the ceremony never ends. And you're just like being in a circular space with a bunch of human beings experiencing for a time span what it means to be alive and how it means to hold space for each other when one of us is having a challenging time, or when one of us is experiencing a intense physical sensation, and how do you show up for that, and how do you, like, plant medicine has become like this space where we think, like, we feel that we're going for healing, and sometimes we forget that the healing happens in life. And that it's not about like, oh, I sat in 60 ayahuasca ceremonies, or I did like mushrooms, and no, yes, it's almost about how do you wash your plates in the morning. Like, are you actually feeling the water when you're washing your plates? And you're like touching the plate, feeling every physical sensation that you're experiencing, listening to the water as it trickles down from the faucet, and feeling the soapy water like touch your hand. And are you actually having a sensual experience with life? Or are you washing your plates and thinking, oh shit, I have to go to work and I have to do this? How are you showing with presence in every single moment of your life? Because that's how we're like, to me and in my perspective, how we're literally embracing God in everything that we're doing. And we're giving space for God to experience life through our body. And how do we give that opportunity to be present in every sensation and every moment? And I still trip out and think about stuff that I shouldn't be thinking about when I'm washing the dishes, and I'm still learning.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's beautiful, because sometimes people, they go somewhere to, to, let's say we think, oh, this will, how to say it? This will make the difference. This will be what will heal me, and we go to external things, maybe to ceremonies, and we think, oh, this is it, this will help me. But it's usually in us, right? In everyday life, in all the activities that we do every day.
Yes, my teacher, one of my mentors, Brianna Lynn, likes to call it the beauty in the mundane. And how do you bring beauty into each mundane moment of your life, and into the things that, like, you will surpass for not important, because going to a ceremony is actually what makes me spiritual. And then, like, this is like ways of how, like, patriarchy and a little bit of capitalism and like some aspects of like colonial ideas have stepped into spirituality, and have like embedded this thing that we created for all of us to come together and to heal into like almost a hierarchical structure of like, oh, I'm a better person because I sat in a ceremony, now I'm healed.
That's so true.
Or I take microdoses every day, so I have a different experience of life now. And like sometimes that's just bullshit. Like, how are you like really engaging with life and showing up is your spiritual work. And how do you show up every day in your life is
That's so
how
true.
you truly like or shifting these patterns and like creating space for you to actually be the healing agent in your own life.
That's deep. What do you think about spirituality?
Well, spirituality is so wide. It includes culture a lot, socialism, and in my own perspective or personally, spirituality is something very private, very intimate between us and the self. And ceremonies or plant medicine ceremony would, in a way, facilitate this connection with the self through others. I always feel when sitting in circles that we are like all mirrors in front of each other. We can see ourselves in the other person. Sometimes with this eye of judgment, if a person is feeling this way or does this movement or uses an instrument not the right way, and always or at least in my perspective or my experience, teach me how to always listen to this voice in my mind and dissociate from this voice and not be that voice, but be the watcher of that voice. So yeah, spirit. To come back to the question, spirituality has a lot of little elements that make it spirituality. It can be an everyday practice, prayers, the beliefs that come sometimes also from culture, actually, and watching that is also spirituality. Watching where it comes from, all the researchers that we can do about ourselves, to know ourselves more. For me, this is spirituality.
Ïara, I saw a video on your, I don't know, maybe it was Facebook or Instagram, and you were sharing about you singing. I think you were singing in the video, and you were saying that there were thoughts like, oh, is singing good enough? Or a lot of because sometimes we see people who are artists and we think, oh, they don't have thoughts like this, everything is solved for them, but it's not, right? Like you said, it's whole life. What was your maybe so far the hardest moment that you were going through in your life?
This year has been particularly hard because I've been deconstructing a lot of internalized patriarchy and a lot of ideas about myself, of like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not good enough, or I have to do more in order to be deserving, or if I don't show up in this way, then I don't matter. And all of these things have left me almost naked and with a sense of unknowing right now what is my true identity. Because I've realized that a lot of my life has been surrounded around self-worth and doing things in order to gain value, because we were all raised under this umbrella that if I'm a really good girl, then daddy and mommy are gonna love me. And I'm deconstructing this idea also when it comes to singing or being in stage and being in this space of showing up because it brings me joy, and deconstructing the idea that I have to be accepted because I'm singing in a certain way, or if I don't sing in this way, then I'm not gonna be liked. And it has been challenging and emotional and a lot of grief and holding my inner child and letting myself know that it's okay to not have all the answers, and that it's okay to be finding a new way to show up that is not related to using an audience to give me my sense of value and my sense of worth.
To be there even though no one is there, for example, right? But still be there and sing for your joy and for your be happy.
Yes, and for my own heart, and because it brings me joy, and because I still remember the little girl that would line up all of her teddy bears in my room and will grab her toothbrush and start pretend that she was singing to everybody, so I sing to that little girl.
So you knew when you were small already that you're gonna do it. Wow, that's good.
And it has been this process of like dismantling, like, oh no, you shouldn't do it, or it's not safe to do it, and showing up anyways.
So it was a process to actually to do what you do right now. It was a process. It was not like you were.
Yes, I used to sing when I was little in a choir, and whenever it was my turn to sing by myself, like my body will enter into like a whole state of shock and I will forget the lyrics, and like it was like a whole thing.